I pledge. Please remain standing for a few minutes. It's my honor to give the invocation tonight. And I would like to start by saying that our 35th President of the United States on June 10th, 1963, said that tolerance implies no lack of commitment to one's own beliefs. Rather, it condemns the oppression or persecution of others. Our 40th President of the United States said in 1984 that we're still a nation comprised of good and decent people whose fundamental values of tolerance, compassion, and fair play guide and direct the decisions of our government. And our 45th mayor of Billings asks you to bow your heads as we pray. Dear God, as we gather this evening here in Billings, we pause to reflect on the strength of our community and the responsibility we share in guiding it forward. In light of recent events and the challenges this body faces in the future, we ask for unity, patience, and understanding to shape our work tonight. We ask for a spirit of calm, respect, and compassion be present in all we do. Please grant us the wisdom to recognize the value in every voice, knowing that each opinion, even when different from our own, reflects a neighbor who cares deeply about this city. Help us listen with openness, speak with integrity, and consider every perspective with fairness and dignity. May our efforts tonight support the safety, well-being, and hope of all who call Billings home. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Well, shall we call the roll? Tony?
Councilmember Shaw, Nicholson, Meese,
Present.
Pittman,
Present.
Aguirre,
Here.
Kennedy,
Here.
Aspenleiter,
Here.
Lindley,
Here.
Boyette, O'Donnell,
Councilman O'Donnell is on Zoom, but I don't see his face.
we'll check back.
Right below Roy.
O'Donnell,
Here.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Nelson.
Thank you. All right, we have minutes. November 24th, 2025 is still pending. December 8th, 2025 is here for approval. And December 15th, 2025 is here for approval. Are there any questions or motions regarding these? Councilperson Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve the minutes for December 8th, 2025 and December 15th of 25 as read.
Thank you.
Second.
Councilman Neese, seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Well, looks like they passed. Council, do we have any courtesies tonight? Hearing none, we'll move to proclamations. There are none of those, so council reports. Mr. Kukulski, you're on.
For the administrator report, yeah, so just a couple of things, Mayor and Council. So first of all, as you've seen, and we are preparing for today as the unfortunate beginning of shutoffs relative to utility bills, it mostly is good news. So over 97% of our utility customers were not under any situation that would have their water turned off because they are paying their bills or they are on a payment plan. So that leaves roughly 3%. This morning for this cycle where the turnoffs were to begin, the morning started with 132, a little lower. They're about 15 through the night. Got things taken care of. So we had 132 shutoffs this morning, or folks who were in that situation. They were all turned off. 43 have been turned back on. That's because they either came in and paid their bill or they got on a payment plan. So, you know, we're somewhere south of 190 or so. And what history would tell us is over the next few days, most all of those would get resolved as well. We want to thank our customers who are paying. As you are well aware, we've got somewhere between $3 and $5 billion of assets between our water, wastewater, stormwater, and solid waste utilities. And this is how they're paid for. And people paying their utility bills is critical to that. We ask anyone as we continue, this was the first pay cycle where turnoff started. Those will continue for the next 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, that folks continue to, again, the thresholds for turnoffs is they have a balance of that exceeds $100 and they have not gotten a payment plan set up. They get that payment plan, then they will not be turned off. And the payment plans, because we went so long without turning off or late fees, that payment plan time period was extended. It was more than tripled. So prior to any of this, you had 90 days essentially to get yourself caught up. Now we're allowing payment plans approved for up to 1 year. There is still interest charges on it though, so it is advantageous to pay it off as soon as possible. But all those things are moving us in the right direction. Obviously, we don't like to turn anyone off, but that's where we are. And my last thank you to the crews who do the work. There was no incidents today relative to concerns in them doing their job. And I would ask people to continue that. They're just doing their jobs. So that's the update on utilities. As far as your board and commission agenda item for this evening, they're on consent. We had an error some years ago in the term limit end date. So none of these changes tonight that were on consent, they're simply correcting the end dates of those terms that people were appointed. Not different names, not different appointments, just that end date. Monday, January 19th, city offices are closed for Martin Luther King Day. So that work session will be on the Tuesday. And regular agenda item number 2, the Lockwood Water and Sewer Amendment. We revised that information for the public on Friday, and you'll see Lewis will go through our recommendation this evening with our staff recommendation relative to the waiver right to protest and about the confusion there. With that, there's no ex parte communication that came in late this afternoon. That is all that I have to update you, Mayor and Council.
Thanks, Mr. Kukulski. I inadvertently left out council reports, so I'll ask now, any reports from any councils? Oh, great, we're moving right along. Okay, so I will, oh, I should have looked to the right too.
Yeah, the Bobcats are national champions. I don't know if anybody missed that. Just want to make sure, say that out loud again.
Yeah, and the Bears won their first playoff game in about 1,000 years too, so I'd like to bring that up. All right, we're going to move on to public comment on non-public hearing items. So for tonight, that's you can speak on items 1, 3, and 4 only. If you wish to speak, please sign in the back there. Comments on the items listed as public hearing items will be held only during the designated public hearing time for each respective item. So for items not on this agenda, public items will be taken at the end. There we go. So I'll open it up now for public hearing. Is there any public hearing? Thank you for coming forward, sir. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and you're on.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Is this going to be my agenda, what I want to bring up, or do I have to stay in context of what we're doing? That'll be at the end of the night? Okay. Can we move that up to the front? Because I've noticed there's been some discrepancies on that on the past where you've made us wait through. We've missed the Bobcat game. I don't know. But let's not push us public to the back at the end of the meeting. I request that we bring that up right away off the bat. And like we've seen with 50 other peoples on other demonstrations, they also are here at times on 50 different homeowners off of the 40th and Shiloh area. Boom, you guys nailed it right off the bat. Me, Southside Task Force, Southside Triangle, I want to bring it up too. I'm only one mouse in a big house. I'll be back.
Any other public comment?
Good evening. Is this working? Good. So, good evening. My name is Jack Hansen. I was born and raised here in Billings. I currently live in Ward 4, where I own property, and that's where I pay my city taxes. So, first off, let me congratulate Mayor Nelson and the 5 new council members on your election wins. And thank you for stepping forward to serve our community. We do appreciate that. So my comments pertain to item 1E on the consent agenda. This is approving the new collective bargaining agreement for our police officers. And I decided it'd be best to speak at the beginning of the meeting tonight because I see that Chief St. John is in the room, and I think it'd be helpful for him to hear these comments as well. I'm happy to see this agreement settled. I encourage the council to approve it this evening. I think you will. We have a well-trained, highly professional police force in this city. As a result, our officers enjoy wide community respect for the difficult job they do. Approving this contract with its 9% wage increases and improvements to working conditions will help to ensure that we can recruit and retain qualified, well-prepared officers going forward. Another thing that we can do as a city to ensure continued respect for our officers and to help secure the general public safety is we can refuse to get entangled in the disturbing train wreck that ICE and Border Patrol agents are causing in cities across the country. In the past months, we've all witnessed, horrified, as poorly trained, unprofessional agents under what can only be described as criminally incompetent command engage in reckless, lawless, dangerous activity. We do not need that in our community. We cannot have that in our city. When ICE or Border Patrol occupy city streets, no one is safe. And the broader community loses respect for all law enforcement officers. Don't let that happen here. I understand that you are prohibited by Montana law from designating Billings a so-called sanctuary city. It's not really what I'm talking about. Rather, I'd like to see this council make it perfectly clear that if and when federal agents show up in our town, trample on our civil rights, and break our laws, they will be investigated, arrested, and prosecuted. This will help protect not only all of us residents, but our police officers as well. I encourage each of you to consider that as you vote tonight on the new police contract. Thank you for your time.
Any further public comment?
Mr. Mayor and council members, Paul Clark, Southside Task Force. Billings police officers collecting bargaining agreement, and about a 9% increase. And let me tell you what, that's not enough. We should do 18%, along with our firefighters and everyone else that is a public servant for this beautiful city. Don't skim them short, you guys. Perhaps on the collective bargaining agreement with the fire department, they are going to be full-time employees, not part-time. I want to see 12 on, get that 40 hours in, then they can have their time off. This idea of 20 hours a work week and collecting all the benefits from bargain agreement, and that's not bargain agreement. That's holding us hostage, city council and residents. So again, 9% is not enough, people. They need more.
Any further public comment? Seeing none, I'll call this part of the meeting closed. And we'll move on to item number 1, consent agenda. Do we have any separations? Councilmember Kennedy.
Mayor, I would separate item E.
All right. Mr. Aspenleiter?
Mr. Mayor, I'll separate item 1I for purposes of recusal. My firm represents that developer.
Thank you. Anything else? Councilmember Neese,
I'm prepared to make a motion.
please do.
I move to approve the items that the consent agenda item is submitted, with the exception of the items removed for separation being 1E and 1I.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve items in the consent agenda with the exception of the removed items E and I, and they've been seconded by Councilperson Pittman. Is there any discussion? Mr. Aspenleiter?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make a comment on 1C. I didn't pull it for discussion or voting or changing the contract, but it's the contract for water main replacement. Over the last year, looking at a lot of these contracts through Public Works, we spend a lot of money on things that are associated to public information, like project-specific websites and public outreach. That there's a place for that probably in some projects, like big transportation projects like Rimrock or Grand or Main Street in the Heights. But a water main replacement project in Midtown is probably not a place where we need a project-specific website. We had the same thing in a contract that we did a couple months ago for sidewalks and safe routes to school. We had the same thing for a sewer contract in North Park. Like we tend to let these things kind of float through, and they become, you know, value add propositions. And I would bet you my paycheck, which is my free parking at the airport, by the way, that there's 5 people that go to those websites. And we spend, in this contract, it's $35,000 in public outreach and project websites and things like that. We got to be more diligent about what we're actually spending money on and what actually adds value, because I would argue that none of that really does, or very minimally. So I just ask Public Works to please dial in on that a little tighter and take note of that as we're going into Public Works projects.
Councilman Boyette.
I just want to say, anytime we receive a donation to the city, we should recognize it. In this case, Rimrock Credit Union has donated $15,000 to the police department for their Blue Camp. I just say thank you very much, and we need to continue that effort.
Thank you. Might note that that's a community service project for 7th graders. What a great place to start. Nice job. And thank you to Rimrock Credit Union for that, Camp Blue. All right, any other? Councilman Neese?
Yes, I just want to join in with the council member Aspenleiter mentioned, because I agree, if we can reduce some of these costs of these projects, it's just going to benefit us further to stretch our dollars more on other projects. So appreciate you bringing that forward, and didn't want the Public Works thinking just Councilmember Aspenleiter is saying that, but I also agree with him. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Shaw, you had something? All right. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we accept and pass the items on the consent agenda, except the removed items E and I. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. All right, that passes. That brings us to Councilperson Kennedy's removal. Billings Police Officers Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Thank you, Mayor. and council. I would like to make a few comments. On the Billings Police Officers Collective Bargaining Agreement, I'm going to vote against this contract. This is against my nature for the police, but I have several reasons why I want to reject this evening. The police contract may be a win for the management, but it does not address the lowest pay compared to the other cities in the state. As it was just talked about, the 9%, that's 3% a year. Will this contract help recruit more quality candidates? No. Will this still have us trying very hard to recruit officers with low pay in the state and a high call out over time and rates? As Lieutenant Puckett told me, more money into the police will not solve the shortage problem. Well, I feel if the pay was comparable to the top 1 or 2 cities, then we would not have to have as many officers resigning from the force. Last year, we had 5 retirements, but 8 resignations of officers to go elsewhere. Why? Pay, overtime, morale problems. When are we going to address these issues? And they're not addressed in this collective bargaining unit. A win for the administration of prolonging negotiations and keeping the cost down will also, in the long run, decrease the number of officers. We have 7 officers incoming, which is great, but 10 to 15 officers needing to fill just to get us up to where we need to be. Over Christmas, we saw murder, shootings, stabbings, and many call-outs. Typical weekend. Good thing we didn't have snow. We would not be able to handle traffic accidents. We were told that the 36-hour jail would solve a lot of problems. We rushed to give $3 million to the county, but we drug out negotiations for the city on this police contract. I heard that if the officers didn't like what was offered, they could go elsewhere. I don't agree. We spent a lot of money on training and equipment to let officers leave us after a few years. Missoula, Bozeman, Helena look pretty good. More pay, less hours, less crime. I'm voting no because I want to bring up the bigger issue that we have in our police department. Pay, recruitment, maybe it's time for a change. Hiring security companies in downtown and businesses on Montana Avenue is not good. We still have to call the Billings Police Department out when there's a confrontation and an issue. When I hear from voters about where did the mill levy go, and that was yesterday morning that I was just going into my garage. I explained we got 8 police officers. The majority went to attorneys, code enforcement, administration, courts. Then I hear the same thing over and over again. That's not what we voted for. I will leave this discussion for another day. I'm a no on this contract just to say there's an issue. So at this time, I would just like to say thank you, Billings Police, for doing your job. But I will be a no on the vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Kennedy. I think I got a little ahead of myself by letting you talk before a motion was made. I think we do need a motion. Councilperson Boyette?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve item number E, Billings Police Officers Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Let me call for a second. So is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Nicholson. After that, any discussion on item 1E?
Mayor, I think Tony's got his hand up online.
Councilmember O'Donnell, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. How you doing?
Thank you. We're all new and getting used to this.
I'm definitely a rookie.
I wanted to take this occasion to congratulate Commission Member Bill on this. because it is of vital importance, primary importance of any city, the protection of its residents. So police and fire deserve to have fully funded to where they can do their job accurately. Uh, I was not a part of the negotiations, obviously, for this contract. I appreciate Member Kennedy pointing out the deficiencies on this. Unfortunately, as I understand it, we are financially constrained, partially because of just limits, but also because of the actions of the state legislature in limiting the amount of money that Billings has to offer to spend, as I understand it. This is all new to me, but I will continue to support the Billings Police Department and Fire Department to the very best of my ability during this period of time. So thank you, Member Kennedy, for bringing in these points to our attention.
Councilperson Shaw.
Thank you. Just to add a little context for people, I will support this. I think people think council members are maybe involved in this negotiation. We are not. This is our HR department and administration that negotiates with the union. So I trust that both entities came together, reached an agreement. Finally, it took longer than I think we'd all hoped, but that was not for lack of diligent working on this. So thank you to administration for seeing this through. I'm pleased that we have something that the union has accepted that we can move forward with so that we can close the door on this and get everybody happily back to work, fingers crossed.
I'm going to comment on this too. I'm going to vote for it. I'm really happy that we have a contract and that we're moving forward. I'm very excited about the future and working with our Billings Police Department. And I know that as we go forward over the next 3 years of this contract, we will be working diligently as a council to bring in new sources of revenue so that we can solve some of these financial problems. So having said that, I'll call for a vote now. All in favor of, the motion is to approve the items in the consent agenda, specifically this time the contract. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
Okay, motion passes. Item 1I has been removed, so Council Member Aspenleiter can recuse himself. Do we have a motion to approve this?
Mayor, I make a motion to approve item 1I.
And a second? Second from Mr. Kennedy. He was the fastest on the draw. Any discussion regarding this item? And I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition? Okay, that passes. Please note that Mr. Aspenleiter has recused himself as required. That moves us to our regular agenda. Item 2 on the agenda. Tony, would you please read that for us?
Item number 2, public hearing and amendment with Lockwood Water and Sewer. Staff recommends approval.
I guess we have a public staff, not a public, but a staff presentation, sir?
That's correct, yes. Give me one moment here to share my screen.
Well, Louis,
There we go.
we got it.
I got
Okay.
it. Thank you.
All right, so start
Appreciate it.
with introductions and then you're on.
Yes, I'm Louis Ingalls. I'm the Water Quality Superintendent. I'm back with you tonight to discuss the Lockwood Water and Sewer District proposed amendment. Just to
quick review of what we discussed last week. Can everybody hear me okay? In 2008, we entered into an agreement with Lockwood to treat their wastewater. That was for treatment only. There are limits around the amount of wastewater that they can give us and the concentrations of contaminants that they can give us. Also in that agreement, it defined a specific service area, and changes to that service area require city council or city approval, and that's why we're here before you tonight. In 2021, that agreement was amended to include the Lockwood Targeted Economic Development District, also known as the TED. And then I'm here with before you tonight to discuss a proposed Amendment 2. There is an 8.5 acre parcel that exists actually between the original 2008 service area and then the 2021 amended service area. The proposed property is wanting to build a commercial truck wash and come into the Lockwood Water and Sewer District. Outlined in blue here, just to give you some context for the service area that we're talking about, was the original Lockwood Water and Sewer District service area in 2008. The area in orange was the area that was amended in Amendment 1, and you can probably tell there's a small triangular parcel there, and that's the subject property of Amendment 2 that is seeking to come into the Lockwood Water and Sewer District. Here's a little closer look at that property, just past the I-90 Johnson Lane interchange there. Currently, there's nothing on it. Again, they're intending to bring in a commercial truck wash. Following up from the work session last week, we were directed to get an application for the enlargement of the Lockwood Water and Sewer District, which we did and was provided by Lockwood. We also proposed a waiver of right to protest annexation that was also directed by council. Additionally, we did some legal review of city code and Montana Code Annotated, where things are a little bit gray as far as our code is the definition of the service area. So to be clear, and maybe I didn't describe this as well as I should have last week, is that we do not control the Lockwood service area. They have their own service area. We do have an agreement to treat their wastewater, but is a completely separate service area from ours. I'll go ahead and just illustrate that point with this map here. This is showing a portion of our sewer service area. The area there in orange is our water reclamation facility where all the wastewater heads to be treated. That is a separate sewer service area than what's shown in green there, which is the Lockwood Water and Sewer District service area. Again, to point out that looking at Montana law, the district is a separate entity from ourselves, meaning we don't own the pipes or the lift stations within the Lockwood Water and Sewer District. Those are, managed, constructed, operated all by Lockwood. The city just provides treatment. There's a single point of discharge from the Lockwood Water and Sewer District to our treatment facility, and it's viewed as a single wholesale customer by the city. Alternatives tonight, as you probably saw in the memo, one option. Well, let me talk about city code a little bit. Section 26203 and 204 require an attempt at annexation. Those codes, and honestly, an enlargement, a request for an enlargement of the service area, those codes would need to be waived by you after a public hearing tonight, should you want to take this property on. Also approving amendment number 2 as included in the packet. The difference between alternative 1 and alternative 2 here is the requirement to for the waiver of right to protest annexation. So we included in the packet that waiver that would be signed by the property owner for that waiver of right to protest annexation. Or thirdly, you can choose to not approve the amendment to or the waiver, and the property will not be included in the Lockwood Water and Sewer District service area. Provided a recommended motion here that includes the waiver of right to protest annexation as directed by council last week. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Mr. Mayor, just for the record, I'll be recusing myself from this regular business item. My firm represents Blue Beacon, so I'll recuse myself from discussion and vote.
Thank you, sir.
Could you go back to the map? The one that shows this parcel farther back, okay? When you show the original Lockwood Water and Sewer District service area, I mean, we spent a lot of time in 2008 on this and worked with the city. I was a county commissioner at that time, and we worked on this. The TED district up there, Amendment 1, encompasses between the original Lockwood Water and Sewer District area from 208 to Amendment 1 that was taken in. Can you tell me why Amendment 2, the proposed Amendment 2, was not taken in at that time for the sewer?
Councilmember Kennedy, Mayor and Council, I don't know for sure the reasons behind that. I'm not certain if it was an omission that was missed in discussions with the Lockwood Water and Sewer District. We weren't sure if that was an omission or if there was some potentially a previous property owner who did not want to be included, but for whatever reason that was brought before us. We believe that, again, in discussions with Lockwood, that this could be
And
an
that's
error.
the big thing that I have a problem with this is because of that property owner not wanting to be in the TED. Now they've sold the property and it leaves the poor guy that's going to build his car wash and everything in the lurch. And I don't think that's right. So, you know, I will support it tonight, but I have a real tough time with a landowner holding out like that and then knowing in the future they're going to come back and ask, because that leaves a lot of people that do annex and get city services looking at something like this and say, well, if I hold out and I don't have to pay anything, I will, and then eventually when I sell it, this poor guy that's trying to build something is not going to get those services. So that's what leaves a real bad taste in my mouth. We'll go forward with this tonight because we have in the past with Amendment 1 in 2021, but I have some concern over these people in these pockets that say no in the earlier years. Thank you.
Any other questions for Lewis? Councilman Neese.
Thank you. Louis, thank you for showing the information about the service areas. I think that's helpful. Let me ask you a question. When, years down the road, when this property would be annexed into the city, at that time, they may be a city resident, part of the city, but they would be still continue to be serviced by Lockwood Sewer. The city would not have to service that property for sewer or water or anything like that at the time. Do I understand that correctly?
Councilmember Neese, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. And then, in this may be out of your knowledge, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because the TED was a big area we wanted to see in the county to produce additional taxes in that. That's a whole process for that we want to see on that. Do you know that once this is added to the Lockwood Sewer area, that they would come back then and maybe add it to the TED, and would we have to see an amendment to that TED agreement, or would that and Chris, you may know this, but could they just automatically include this now in the TED through their TED process and not have to come back to the city?
Councilmember Neese, Mayor and Council, it is my understanding that if the TED boundary as a tax increment finance district, if that boundary is amended, of which there is a process to amend it in statute, I don't think the city would be involved in that process at all because it's wholly in the county. But I believe it could be. The district can, its boundary can change through a public process laid out in statute.
Okay, well, I'd hope they would, and that's not out of our area, but I just wanted to check to see if you knew about that, because that's the whole idea is this could be a maybe catalyst to that whole TED area. So if there TED people are listening, please consider that. Thank you.
Councilmember Neese. You're not Neese.
Yeah,
You're
I'm not
Shaw.
Neese.
Sorry.
I have a legal question, which is we can't forcibly annex anything that's zoned industrial or agricultural. Does this waiver just override all of that? So it doesn't matter how it's zoned, the city wanted to annex it in the future. Is that accurate?
Councilmember Shaw, Mayor and Council, that's correct. If there's a legal process to annex, they would not be able to protest that annexation process. Yes.
Anything further?
Mr. Mayor?
CM Nicholson? And then Councilmember Tony O'Donnell. Mr. Nicholson first.
So I'd like to remember, this is working, that the people of Billings are essentially our shareholders. We're the board of directors. And I'd like to remind everybody that any business that goes on this piece of property would probably be competing with businesses within the city limits and a business who are contributing to all the things that our city does. I think we need to remember that. That makes me want to oppose this.
CM O'Donnell?
Thank you. Just a question. If this resolution does not pass tonight, the residents of that area, future residents, including the car wash, who do they get water and sewer service from?
Mayor and Councilmember O'Donnell, I believe their choices would exclusively be well and septic, and I don't know legally or technically, but maybe that's not the right answer, but so others are shaking their head. Louis, do you have other options that they have other than Lockwood Water and Sewer and well or septic?
I don't believe so. You'd have to know more about the groundwater in the area to say whether that would work, but my guess is it probably wouldn't for a car wash.
Follow up, please. It would seem to be pretty impractical for a truck wash to be rely upon well water. So it would seem to me that if this is not approved, that that truck wash does not get developed in that area. Thank you.
I have a question, Louis. So we have three alternatives: grant a waiver without an amendment, grant a waiver with an amendment, or not approve the waiver or the amendment. So does staff have an opinion here?
Mr. Mayor and council members, the recommendation for staff is to include a waiver of right to protest annexation. And the primary reason for that is precedent. The policy of the city of Billings has been to require that waiver. Looking at the map, it may seem somewhat impractical, but it's tough to say in the future. Could things change? Could water to the TED change things? So it's basically the conservative approach for the city to require the waiver, and that was the recommendation that we provided.
All right, thank you. Anything else for Louis? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That brings us to the public hearing portion for this agenda item only. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Please come forward and state your name and where you live, and take your 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jeff Kettleson, and I live on the west side of Billings. And this issue keeps coming up in front front of this esteemed board here. And I would like to echo exactly what Council Member Mark Nicholson said, was that when we do these types of things, we offer our city services to properties that are outside of our city. We're creating competition for businesses inside of our city, and we don't get any benefit of that at all. But we're giving it's like a free gift to a business that we shouldn't be doing. You're spending, our hard-earned tax money for things that we don't get a benefit out of. I really don't understand. You know what? That we don't get property tax from this property. It's in the county. This is not our city's problem. That's their problem. If this thing of the waiver of annexation, I think is preposterous. I don't think that even should be. But, I think that if we give city services to a property, that property should be in the city so we can collect the tax dollars and protect the citizens, the taxpayers of our city. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looks like I may have gotten ahead of myself once again. Is there anyone from Lockwood here that would like to speak? My apologies for stepping out of order, sir.
My name is Mike Aristi. I'm the manager for Lockwood Water and Sewer District. Mayor, council members, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you this afternoon, and I appreciate that you have considered this. There are a couple points I would like to bring up and maybe be able to answer some of the questions that the council had when we were going through this. Can you hear me all right? Okay. So yeah, the district has an existing wastewater agreement with the city of Billings. Associated with that original agreement was a boundary that was set. In addition to that boundary, there is capacity limits that, this won't happen, but if the boundary of the district were to expand by twice, we would still be limited to that capacity we have available in the treatment plant. Lockwood Water and Sewer District currently pays not only for the treatment of our wastewater, but we pay for that reserved capacity in the treatment plant that we aren't currently using. So as part of this request tonight, we're not asking to increase what capacity we already have per the original agreement. We're just asking to allow a property that I can't give you a reason why it wasn't included in the original boundary or within the amendment, but to allow us to service this property within the existing parameters of our agreement. The agreement does allow for the expansion. It specifically allows for the expansion of the boundary, and what it says is just with the approval of the city. We've been a good partner with the city. I think we work well with the city, have open communication and dialogue, and we look to continue that process here in the future. As you saw in the diagram up there, this is an island. I wasn't part of the original boundary. That was before my time when that was established. And then what they called the TED study area boundary was established prior to my time. I did speak with the previous manager, and he couldn't tell me, or he couldn't recall a specific instance why this property wasn't included in either boundary. Honestly, I think it was probably just an oversight, but not being here and having firsthand knowledge of that, I don't know. Lockwood Water and Sewer District will be providing, should the City Council approve this amendment, we will be providing both water and sewer to this facility. As you spoke of, the City Code Section 26201 is specific to the city's water and sewer service area. This agreement, or what's before you tonight, wouldn't expand, and we're not asking to expand the city's sewer service, water or sewer service area. We're just asking, in reality, we're not really expanding our external boundary either. It's just to take this one property that's within an island within our boundary and letting us provide service to it. I do think that this is a different situation than just a residential or a single property requesting city services and being brought into that and requiring that waiver or that annexation or the waiver of right to annexation. So at this time, what we're asking for is really a zero effect wastewater wise to the city of Billings. I do understand that there may be policy implications with this. And that is a decision for this board to make. So once again, we are requesting to expand the boundary, option 1, without the waiver for this property, just because of the location of it. It's not directly adjacent to a city boundary, and it will be provided services specifically by Lockwood Water and Sewer District, minus the agreement that we have to treat that wastewater. So that's what I have, and I'd be more than happy to answer any specific questions you may have.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions for the manager? CM Kennedy?
When we had the first agreement, you are paying more than it would cost a Billings resident for sewer service, correct?
I believe so, with our treatment fees and things. I can't say that because I'm not sure. I don't know what the current city of Billings fees are. I do know that we are part of that rate study that happens every 2 years. Lockwood as a wholesale customer's rates get looked at. So we do have 2 components of our rates. We have the treatment of the wastewater per gallon that we send to the city of Billings. But like I mentioned before, we pay a reserve capacity or a capacity fee for that guaranteed capacity in the agreement, which, currently is, I want to say, around $40,000 a month. So it's not like we're getting a free service and we're asking the city to give us something for free. We're just asking to be able to use a portion of what we are currently paying for.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kennedy, Mayor and Council, I'm going to let Lewis, because he can answer it specifically. Yes, there is a surcharge. Yes, there are premiums. The exclusion is they're not paying for pipes. They own their own pipes. So there is some complexity to it, but Mr. Engels can explain precisely what the surcharge is.
Councilmember Kennedy, Mayor and Council, that's correct. So there's different surcharges. The original agreement had a 6% surcharge on top of they pay for the facilities that they use. So they don't pay for every single pipe in our system. They pay for only the connection point and the facilities at the wastewater treatment plant, and that's how their rates are set. You'd probably want to talk to Jennifer if there was a little more specifics on that, but generally that's how it works. But there is a 6% surcharge on top of that for the original service area. For the TED area, it's an 18% surcharge, because at this time we don't know what industry would come in that might require more cost to treat that wastewater.
And Lewis, does Lockwood Water and Sewer also pay for the capacity?
Councilmember Kennedy, Mayor and Council, yes, that's correct. The capacity.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anything else for Manager Mike? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for your consideration.
We at this time will resume public. Oh, hello.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Craig Dalton. I'm with Performance Engineering. I'm the agent for the property owner. And I just wanted to come up and kind of enforce the things that Mike just said as far as we're looking primarily for a clarification on the boundary. This is an island parcel, as Lewis showed, in the middle of this multi-square mile district. It appears from what I can tell is an oversight in this manner. We would request that the amendment be made without the waiver of right to protest. This is different than a West End property. This is the property coming to Lockwood Water and Sewer District asking for services. It's not us coming directly to the city of Billings asking for service expansions, is what we traditionally do on West End properties. It adds another layer of complexity and undue burden onto the property when it's in all likelihood not going to be annexed into the city. If it were to happen, it would probably be at the time of the city of Billings taking over the Lockwood Water and Sewer District in its entirety. So we request the council consider the amendment without the waiver right to protest. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right. Anybody else for the developer or for Lockwood or? Thank you. Mr. Booth, are you there?
Yes, good evening. My name's Don Booz. I'm Director of Real Estate for Blue Beacon. Our plan would use a little more than half of the parcel that was shown tonight, and we will have a leasehold interest in the property. We'll build the building and operate it ourselves, but the right to annexation would be the right of the current landowner who would continue to own the land under a long-term land lease with us that could extend out to 50 years. Blue Beacon is the world's largest truck wash company. We wash trucks, motorhomes, RVs, anything essentially that's too large to go through a tunnel car wash. We currently operate 115 locations in 39 states. This will be our first location in Montana, which we're very excited about. I can tell you it's a first-class operation. We spend several $1 million on the development. We would hire approximately 60 individuals. Our payroll would be over $2 million. We're an all-cash developer, so we operate with no debt. We pay our bills, we pay our people, we hire well, we keep our properties clean. We always like to explain that we don't have any truck parking on premises. If you're on our property, you're in line waiting to be washed, you're in the tunnel getting washed, or you're leaving the property after being washed. One other component that a lot of people don't think about with large vehicle washing, and a lot of this became very evident during COVID, we not only wash the exterior vehicles, but there's a growing need to wash the inside of trailers, especially with anything related to produce, medical supplies, any kind of food deliveries. Most of those vendors now are requiring clean trailers for every load. We're the only national company that can certify a clean trailer. So it's been a very large growing part of our business. And a lot of communities have looked upon that quite favorably. But once again, we are a very solid economic impact to the area. I'm sure that some of our employees would be living in the city limits, but the property is in the county. And once again, the right to waive annexation relies with the underlying landowner, but we would be the business owner, buildings owner, and the operator, and we look forward to being part of your business community.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. CM Boyette.
Thank you. Don, you were said that you clean out the inside of trucks. Do you do animal trucks as well as bull haulers?
No, we do not. We do not do animal vehicles, nor do we wash out the inside of anything that would carry any kind of chemicals. We don't know what those are, so we have strict rules as to what we will and won't wash. Tanker trucks, and we don't wash the inside.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. At this time, anybody else for the developer or for Lockwood? So I'll reopen the public hearing and come on forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Paul Clark, Southside Task Force. I live on the south side. Blue Beacon, streaking at the beacon, trailer washout, potatoes, sugar, anything else that's refrigerated. It's nasty stuff. There's usually a swamp behind the streaking at the beacon, and it's very unhealthy for us. Again, people. Who am I? I am going to get you on pollution. You're going to be held accountable for all the pollution that goes in that Yellowstone River. Mark it. Clean it. You guys, the tonnage, the amount of water it's going to take to wash these 18-wheelers. Whatever agreement you got with Lockwood, you might want to watch that one. The treatment, the wastewater, our beautiful Yellowstone River, streaking at the beacon within, I don't know, a quarter of a mile. That's some nasty stuff. It better be heading for the treatment before it gets in that river. It's on you.
Any other public comment? All right, public comment section is closed. We'll move to, I guess, call for a motion. Councilmember Boyette.
So we'll try to phrase it correctly. Having conducted a public hearing, considered written and spoken public testimony, I move to approve the amendment with the Lockwood Water and Sewer as recommended by staff, which is item number 2, which would include the letter of and right to refuse station. Is that, unless you want to bring it back up, Louis?
That's what I'm going to do.
I'll second that.
Okay. So, Louis?
There, I believe the memo should be on the screen there for you.
Okay, so I'll just reiterate then. Having conducted a public hearing, considered written and spoken public testimony, I move to waive the requirement of BMCC sections 26-203 and 26-204 without annexation and require a waiver of the right of protest annexion for the property and approve the amendment with the Lockwood Water and Sewer District as recommended by staff.
Okay, now that we have a motion, I'll call for a second.
Second.
Councilmember Neese, thank you. All right, Councilmember Boyette would like to speak to your motion.
We may or may not annex this in 100 years, but I mean, now is the only chance we have to do anything. We can't do it 10 years from now or 20 years from now. I was totally against this to start with, but after reviewing it, what we're doing is actually extending the Lockwood Water District. We're not approving this property. We're just extending what they have the ability to do. And I understand what everyone has said about they're not paying taxes. I think a lot of those people will live in Billings, but I just think we need to move ahead with this.
Councilmember Neese.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lindley, then Councilmember Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor. I also, this would have, without the waiver of right to protest annexation, I would not support this. And when I'm looking at property within the city, it is something that we have to consider with our citizens. Yes, this is outside of our city, but our city is going to grow someday. I won't be around when it gets to this far, but I think we need to continue to look to the future for our future generation of what they need to do. And at this time, because this is going to be industrial, that would prevent us from ever having to annex this into the property in the future. So this is the time to set that up to say, yes, if we get out to that far and it makes sense, then we can annex it in and be part of the city. So I think this is something that we should have done. Again, with the TED, I fought that and lost that one, but I'm glad to see us doing this one. So I would appreciate support on this. So thank you.
Thank you. CM Lindley.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'm in agreement with Councilmember Neese on this. I think the new members of the council, including myself, have learned a lot in the last couple of months. And one thing that I've learned that was kind of alarming to me is just how often the city is extending services without the ability to even potentially annex a property. It's really taken it out of our hands. And I think for the rest of the taxpayers in Billings, that's just not fair. And so I certainly support this with the waiver of right to annexation.
Thank you. CM Shaw.
I just wanted to address, there's been a number of public comments about why not just annex this right now to solve the problem. And I just wanted to provide a little context of that then puts the city on the hook for providing police, fire, park service, road maintenance, all the way out there. So when the properties are not contiguous with the city limits, it puts a real burden on other city services. So that's the argument for why not to annex right now, but I certainly support the motion with the waiver because I think that's the right path.
All right, any other discussion? Boy, Councilmember O'Donnell.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm not familiar with all of the processes and the procedures, but I guess I would be concerned about what the speaker from the South Side brought up about the possible result of cleaning out trailers with a lot of junk in them. I guess I will rely upon the representative from Blue Beacon who said that the places will be kept clean. So I don't know if we can ask him for comment on that, but I think it's a very good point. Thank you.
Well, what I could tell you in the 39 states where we operate, first off, we have a complete environmental department that continues to grow over the years. But we're in complete compliance with state regulations, local regulations, EPA. We've even received national recognition for our cleanliness and environmental awards. And that includes states of California, Arizona, New Mexico, Florida, where there's large environmental concerns. So we do maintain those, and all of our wash water is contained within our systems and directed towards sanitary sewer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, let's see if I can wrap this up here. We have a motion on the table to waive the requirements of BMCC sections 26203 and 26204 without annexation, but to require a waiver of the right to protest annexation from the property owner and to approve an amendment with Lockwood Water and Sewer District, just like the staff recommended. So all those in favor of this motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, that motion passes. One nay? Who said nay? Dr. Nicholson said nay, and CM Aspenleiter recused himself. Nomination and election of Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. Staff recommends that council nominate and elect a Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. So the way this happens is we will nominate and then vote. Am I correct? We will nominate and then vote. If that person does not get a majority, we will move on to a second nomination and a vote. I'm doing it correctly? Okay, so there we go. So
I have just a point on the process.
thank you.
At one point in the past, we did it of put all the nominations on the floor, and then we just went down the row and voted for people, and that way we didn't have to vote against someone, which I think is just kind of a nicer way to do it. But
Yeah,
that's just another option.
Well, I think that's I'm going to refer to Gina. I think that's the proper way under Robert's Rules of Order is to take all the nominations, then vote on them in the order they were taken. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, so we will do that. And I see a gentleman with his hand up, so CM Kennedy.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to nominate Councilman Roy Neese for the Deputy Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, looking around. Councilman Pittman, I think you were
I'll
second.
second it.
Oh, no, we're
Mayor.
not there first. We don't need seconds on this.
Yeah,
We just,
seconds aren't
take-
necessary in this process.
Taking nominations at this point. So nominations? CM Aguirre?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Kendra Shaw.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right, so here's what we'll do. We will vote first on the first nomination, which is CM Neese. If CM Neese gets a majority of the vote, then he gets the job. And if not, we'll move on to CM Shaw. So all those in favor of voting for CM Neese for Mayor Pro Tem, please raise your hands. 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5. And
Mr. Mayor, do you
Tony,
see-
we have 6. So we have, am I right? A majority. 6 is a majority in 11. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem. Item on the agenda number 4, council appointments to community boards and/or committees and council. So please forgive me if I mix this up a little bit too, but it appears that our process in the past for appointment to the 3 council boards, local governing authority boards, legislative, budget, and council ops, our mayor assignment. And right now, you've all gotten a memo with the assignments on there. So on legislative, we have Shaw, Pittman, Kennedy, O'Donnell, and Lindley. For budget, we have Nicholson, Neese, Kennedy, Aspen, Leiter, and Boyette. And then on council ops, that's by way of city code. So we have Nelson, Boyette, and Mayor Pro Tem Neese. So I guess I'm looking for a little bit of consensus in this, unless we want to, I'd rather not, but if we want to horse trade a little bit, okay, we're good there. Next, as I understand it, for council member committees for 2026, we go down and make sure that we're good with the assignments. So the first one is Big Sky Economic Development Board. This is a 2-year term. Excuse me, I'm sorry. 2-year term to meet the second Thursday of the month in the Zoot training room in the Big Sky Economic Development Authority boardroom. And we have council member Pittman. Community Development Board, council member Kennedy. Policy Coordinating Committee, Mayor Nelson. On the Beartooth RC&D, council member Mark Nicholson. On Bright and Beautiful, we have council member Tony O'Donnell. On the Downtown Billings Partnership, council member Amy Aguirre. On the Babcock Theater Board, council member Andrew Lindley. The Local Governing Authority will be Mayor Nelson and Deputy Mayor Boyette. On the eBird Advisory Committee, we have Kendra Shaw. On the Downtown Urban Renewal Advisory Committee, council member Aguirre. On Sabura, council member Shaw. And then on the Alternatives Board, council member Tony O'Donnell. Any comment to those? Council member Boyette.
I was reminded today by the county commissioners that there's people have been going to the CJCC, which is the committee set up to make sure that the city, county, the jail, and the system for our judicial system works properly. And I've been on that for a long time. So I just said I would continue with that because the new people you need to be the history is a long time history about getting everybody to work and play well together. So I just said I'd stay on that.
Well, thank you for your service. Do we need more than one?
Yeah, anybody that wants to.
Yeah, I was going to ask how many council members were on there last? Just one?
Well, I think I was
Wasn't
on there
Councilmember Owen
and Jennifer was on there.
Yeah.
So
Mayor.
CJCC.
right.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, please.
I can circulate the bylaws, but the bylaws set forth, the bylaws of the CJCC set forth the membership. There are 15 voting members and they're all outlined. I actually don't see a city council member as a voting member, but I don't think that the CJCC would have any issue. I mean, certainly they're public meetings, so I don't see how there would be an issue with council members, as many as would like to attend those meetings, can attend those meetings.
So the
It doesn't
city's
have
not,
to be an appointment to
city's
the
not,
board.
it's not an appointment then.
Right.
So how about, I suggest then, Councilmember Boyette, continue to go. Advertise the times that you're going, and then any interested parties are more than welcome. Okay. So, yes,
Just talking with my ward partner here, he would really like to serve on the eBird Advisory Committee, which I don't mind at all if he would like to do that. Since I'll be doing the S-Bird one.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to relieve Councilmember Shaw of some of that work.
so you'd like to take over on eBird? All
If
right,
that's acceptable to you, Mayor.
it is to me. All right, I don't know that we need a vote on this, do we? I don't think so. I think
Mayor, if I may interrupt again, I apologize. I was looking at the ex officio section of the bylaws. There is actually one council member that should be selected by council for the CJCC committee. So I want to correct myself there. So if Councilmember Boyette was absolutely correct, if you all would like to have that discussion or simply go with Councilmember Boyette as he volunteered.
all right. Sounds good.
My apologies.
Thank you. So my question to you, Gina, I'm under the understanding that these are mayoral appointments. Does the council need to have a formal vote to approve these?
There should be, the city code, as I recall, indicates the appointment made by the mayor with the consent of council. So I think as long as it's very clear that it's unanimous consent, if not, if you need to take a vote to make that clear, that would be appropriate as well.
Okay, so Mr. Kennedy?
I would move that we approve of the council committee appointments by the mayor this evening.
So I'll call for a second.
Second.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion to the motion? So we have a motion by Councilmember Kennedy to approve and accept the council member committee's assignments for this year and next. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. All right, thank you. Well, we'll move on to public comment and on non-agenda items. Again, I would say speaker sign-in is required. You will be limited to 3 minutes for your presentation. Please come up to the podium if you're so inclined.
Mr. Mayor, just clarification on decorum. We don't do applause or hooting and hollering on comments. This is comments and then.
It's a great point. Thank you, Councilmember Espenlater.
Mayor and Council, my name is Jonathan Angel. I am a mental health counselor here in Billings, and I first of all would like to say that I love seeing Mark Nixon, Dr. Nixon, behind the desk. I'm pleased to have worked with him in the past at the Mental Health Center. I'm here tonight to discuss my frustration with Billings Police Department. Is Chief St. John still here? Unfortunate. I wish he was going to be present to hear this. So just over 2 years ago, some of you may have at least be vaguely familiar with my name because I sort of went public with some frustrations in recent weeks. 2 years ago, a woman came to me and reported a sexual assault. As mandated by the law, my ethical obligations, it was reported to the police department. Briefly, over the course of the next 2 years, 2 more women came forward accusing the same clinician of sexually assaulting them. I repeatedly tried to work with Billings Police Department and they were mostly unresponsive. I eventually I apologize to those of you who were here. I did send something out to the city council. I didn't realize that it posted automatically to the website. I was appreciative of the fact that somebody took that down within a number of hours, but it included no confidential information, but plenty of information that is sensitive. I'm here to speak to you tonight and ask that you do something. I don't know what. We have significant problems. At this point, the state, as a part of my duties, I also reported these sexual assaults by a clinician in town. And the state has found that gentleman guilty, and as I understand, he will be stripped of his license. He didn't attempt to renew it this year. At any rate, I've tried to follow up with the Billings Police Department to make sure that the criminal case is pursued. The first time that I lodged a complaint, that case was dismissed. I'm sorry, the appropriate language is the investigation was closed on the very same day that the witness gave a 30-minute interview with a police detective. I'm concerned, I see my time is running out. I'm deeply concerned that there are significant systemic problems both within the Billings Police Department and within the state. It took them 2 years to strip this man of his license, and meanwhile, other women were raped as a consequence of their failure to conclude a proper investigation. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this, and as the employer of the Billings Police Chief, I'm now asking you to please do something to find out what is going on with this investigation and make sure that this man is held accountable for being a serial rapist. I'm going to linger after the meeting this evening. I would be happy to speak about this in more detail. This all overlaps with what's been going on at the Montana Rescue Mission.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Mr. Mayor, council members, Paul Clark, Southside Task Force, member of the Southside, not the Southside Task Force. Say, listen, I went down to the demonstration to get my abuse, but you got to remember, you all can get what you need. Okay, Rolling Stones, 1964. As I went to that protest, I wasn't neither for or against it. I merely wanted to participate and see what was this all about on the corner of 6th Avenue North and North 27th Street. And there's a lot of involvement for one side and not so much on the other side. I've seen a lot of angry people that hate ICE, hate Trump. I didn't see anything else. And I was kind of shocked. But I mean, if we're going to hold a demonstration and get our abuse, we should all be there. Now, I am grateful that they were not out on the street on North 27, which is Highway 3, or 6th Avenue. They were pretty conformed to being in one spot. So for that, I'm grateful. With that being said, next Saturday, I have an agenda. Okay, number one, public utilities. 3% of these people had gotten bills that were way out, $2,000 bills or so. I hope that them people came in and settled their disparity. On the most of it, we pay about $50 to $60 a month in my neighborhood, Southside. Number two, the 6th Street underpass and the cleaning. Now, was this supposed to be mandated or purely recommended? Because, boy, let me tell you what, underneath that underpass right now, I don't want to walk under there, let alone drive underneath there and smell the roses. Southside lights. I've gone to Northwest Energy, and I've asked Northwest Energy, who's in charge of the light system? We have lights down there on the south side that's blacked out. Let me tell you what, folks, I don't care what side of town you live on. Come on down the south side once and tell me you're safe. I walk that street, but I know my amendments. Pollution. And I got 40 seconds. I'm doing good. pollution, Cenex, Exxon, Conoco, Sugar Factory, and the Streak and Beacon, which I always called that for 40 years. It's a truck wash. Nasty stuff. Okay, this all goes to the river. I did drive by the Sugar Factory, and I've noticed that they are starting to build berms around their properties, so when we do get a lot of water and snow melt, that overflow, that leach pond, that contaminated water has a chance to get at least cleaned. But it doesn't. And boom it. Okay, we're going to build a water treatment that's close to the Cenex refinery. That's only 3 miles from that Cenex refinery. They just got fined $60,000. Where's that money? You guys are missing an opportunity. We should be fining these guys thousands of dollars, play for other ideas. And with that, God bless you all and welcome to City Council.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Come on forward. Hello.
My name is Pat or Patricia Harn, and I wanted to say just kindly that we can't really hear you in the back when you're discussing things. If you could all turn up your volume a little during the meetings, just a little bit. Anyway, I want to talk about data centers. There's going to be a presentation at Rocky Mountain College this Wednesday night at 5:30 p.m. And I'm pretty much sure it's going to be against data centers. And there's a good case for being against data centers. I don't know if you've been approached about this building a data center in the county yet. And do you have control over any county issues? Okay, well, I think this is actually, what I heard is it's going to be built, they want to build it near Broadview. Okay, so that would be a county commissioner issue. Well, anyway, it's such an important issue, I'll just go ahead and go on with it. I'm asking you, please, all over the country, they're beginning to reject these data centers. The one that they want to build near Broadview would hog as much energy as the entire state of Montana. I kid you not. I think the company is called Gramercy or something like that. And when you have this skyrocketing demand, of course, the prices, the cost of energy is going to go up. It's going to skyrocket as well. And more importantly, we're going to use up all our water in a short period of time, and we won't have water for future generations. So it's just something that's gonna come up over and over again in the next year, 2, 3 years, and you're probably gonna see it in Billings. Some company's gonna come to you and request to build a data center, and they're gonna line the pockets of a few people, but these data centers don't create many jobs. And let's see, they just AI, the value of AI is actually quite questionable. I know it's hip to be totally rah-rah AI, but what we're seeing is Elon Musk, building this Grok, which is a tool to set up imaginary porn for any woman that rubs you the wrong way, and then just post that over the internet so anybody in the world can see it. There's several countries that are trying to ban X because of this. So anyway, AI has great potential for harm, and one of the biggest goals is to automate everybody's job, including doctors. And so please just keep that in your on the back burner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, hello. My name is Sonia Davis, and I'm a downtown resident. And I am up here today to speak about the incidences in Minneapolis after the shooting of Renee Nicole Good. I felt compelled to get a better idea of how our community responds when it comes to ICE cooperation. The Billings Police Department and the Yellowstone County Sheriff both explained that there is basically a mutual aid agreement and that cooperation with ICE or immigration enforcement is reliant on an additional crime, like a crime that's been committed within the city or county. And I also asked who makes these decisions, when it comes to policy or changing policy. And the county informed me that it was the county commissioners as well as the sheriff. And the officer I spoke to with the Billings Police Department said it was the chief of police and council. So I come to you as the body that holds authority and power in this area to take a stand to reject ICE cooperation because it makes our neighbors at danger. There is a 287G agreement that governments can enter into agreement with law enforcement agencies. It's an agreement to collaborate with ICE and to enforce federal immigration laws. The county and the city are not in agreement of that right now, and I would like you to maintain that. The other thing I want to bring up is House Bill 278. This was passed last legislature, and the title of the bill says it requires peace officer to check and report immigration status during lawful stops. As the law states, that if there is, upon reasonable suspicion and when practicable, to determine the immigration status of the person. I think this is in direct violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. And I also think that this is something that should be discussed at council amongst the Billings Police Department because it does put our officers in a very precarious position, and it puts the city at risk of civil rights violations and possible lawsuits. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment? Any further comment? Seeing none, I'm going to close this portion of our meeting, and seeing no council initiatives. Councilmember Boyette?
I guess mine was more of a point of order. There's a lot of commissions and council appointments and commissions, and some of the people may not know when these meet, where they meet. So part of the program is, I think they need to be proactive and find out when these groups meet. Plus, if someone else is already on one of these committees, at least talk to the other council members that are going to be on to make sure that they know where the meeting is and the time and the place, kind of thing.
Great point. Seeing no raised hands, we are adjourned.